In this episode of Raiders history, we look back on the franchise's first Super Bowl win against the Minnesota Vikings. On January 9th, 1977, the Raiders would face the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl XI. The Raiders had made their first Super Bowl appearance at Super Bowl II in 1968. They faced Vince Lombardi's Green Bay Packers and lost 33-14. John Madden was hired as the Raiders head coach 2 years after the loss. He led the Raiders to 6 AFC Championship games, though they lost 5 of the 6 prior to making it to the Super Bowl. The team's season was near perfect. With a season record of 13-1, the only loss came to the Patriots in Week 4. En route to the Rose Bowl, the Raiders first defeated the Patriots and narrowly won 24-21 and would head on to the AFC Championship where they would face the Steelers. The Raiders had faced the Steelers in 2 previous championship games and had lost to them each time. This time the score wasn't even close. The Raiders finished off the Steelers 24-7 to advance to the Super Bowl to face the Minnesota Vikings. Quarterback Ken Stabler was under center and Fred Biletnikoff was the top receiver in the game. Led by an offensive line which included Gene Upshaw, Art Shell, and Dave Dalby, the Raiders acquired 429 total yards during the course of the game in what was then a Super Bowl record. Another Super Bowl record for that time was that the team put up 288 yards in the first half. Though the first quarter was scoreless, Earl Mann got the Raiders 16-point scoring feast going in the second quarter, converting a 24-yard field goal. Tight end Dave Casper then caught a 1-yard pass from Stabler to secure the first touchdown of the game. Pete Banaszak crossed into the end zone on a 1-yard carry for the third Raiders score, and the Vikings went to the locker room scoreless at halftime. As time ticked away in the third quarter, Vikings quarterback Fran Tarkenton would connect with Sammy White on an 8-yard touchdown pass. The Raiders scored twice more in the fourth quarter to stretch their lead. Willie Brown intercepted Tarkenton and returned it to the house 75 yards for another Raiders score. Though they would miss the extra point, by that time, the team had taken a commanding 25-point lead in the game. The Vikings did score on another touchdown with 25 seconds remaining on the clock, but that's what experts would call a garbage time touchdown. The final score of Super Bowl XI, the Raiders 32, Vikings 14. The Raiders went back to Oakland where a parade was held in their honor. MVP honors went to Fred Biletnikoff, and head coach John Madden would retire 3 years later. That'll do it for this episode of Raiders History. We'll be back next week.